Morning, we call the June 17th meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me for a prayer. Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligation. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage, that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust.
Amen. I will make a motion to approve the June 10th Commissioner meeting minutes and the June 10th Special Commissioner meeting minutes.
Second the motion.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion, changes, corrections? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Next up, we have public comment regarding any pending resolutions. Is there any public comment regarding pending resolutions? Seeing none, moving on to resolutions. We have Denise Testa with Planning Services. Morning,
I have
Denise.
just one resolution for your consideration authorizing the submission of the Program Year 25 Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program, also known as CHIP, authorizing the program application.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Denise. Next up, we have Holly Murin from HR.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On our personnel changes resolution today, we have one new hire at County Home, one promotion in sanitary, 5 rate increases, one in maintenance, one in job and family services, 2 in sanitary, and 1 in transit, 3 leave of absence, 1 at senior and adult services, 1 in transit, and 1 at County Home, and 1 probationary removal in sanitary.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Next up, Brett Thomas from Finance.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I only have 5 resolutions for you today, but before we get started, what do you call a fish with a bow tie?
Another fish joke. I don't know.
Sophisticated.
Okay.
This is even better when your 7-year-old is laughing her butt off and then looks at you and goes, "What does that mean?" So, had to share. I promise next time it won't be a fish joke.
Okay.
Can't guarantee there won't be a joke, though. Our first resolution is expenditure adjustments for various funds. This is actually just an item for the sanitary billing department renovations. They were paid out of maintenance's line item and needed to be moved over to the sanitary line. Our second resolution is approving a new agreement for the Community Corrections Grant, the CCA grant for Adult Probation Department. This grant will be in the amount of $1,804,275 for the period of July 1st through June 30th of 26. Our third resolution is creating the fund appropriations for the Felony Delinquent Care Grant. We had authorized this grant on May 20th, and we are now apportioning that out across the various fund structures necessary for it. Our fourth resolution is our purchase of 7,300 gallons of regular unleaded gasoline. This time Centerra from Ashland actually comes in as our low bid at $1.99.5 per gallon. Our fifth and final resolution for the week is our weekly bills in the amount of $5,425,311.26. And before anybody asks, yes, that is a substantial increase over our normal. That is for the payment of our semi-annual OWDA loan.
I'll make a motion to approve the 5 resolutions.
Second the motion.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Brett. And in the absence of Matt Springer, I will be presenting the county administrator resolutions. And we have 3 of those today. The first is authorizing change orders for the county home emergency repair project. The second is rejecting bids, unfortunately, for the Hubbard Valley Radio Tower project because they all came in excess of 20% of the engineer's estimate. It was advertised. And the third resolution is amending an earlier resolution, 250232. This is the one where we approved the sale of the professional building, 120 to 124 West Washington Street. This doesn't change the approval of the bid. The only change that's being made by this amendment is to authorize myself as president of the board to execute the closing documents, which we're still waiting on the drafts, but this avoids the necessity of all three of us having to sign all the closing documents.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Okay, next up, we move on to department updates. We have Richard Nelson here with us from the building department. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I also had a resolution on
Yes.
to renew the contract for our commercial plan examiner, Julie Sipka, who is willing to take on 2 more years at the current rate of $70, I believe it was. That's all.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our building department report for May. We had an increase in commercial projects in May that, a big increase actually, that brought our overall construction value up to within 10% of this time last year. So that's kind of interesting and good. New homes for May, up at about 434,000. And that brings our average for the year up to 425,000, up from 422,000 last month. So things seemingly keep increasing with home costs. And then the fun stuff. 46 new home starts in May of 25, which is exactly the same as May of 24 and exactly the same of May of 23. And that's not a typo.
I know.
That's pretty crazy. Now, interestingly, this May, there's 5 homes in Wadsworth that would not have been there had we not been, starting to do Wadsworth City residential work at the beginning of the year. But still, that's comical. And even the year-to-date home starts of 162 matching last year's. Can't make that up. Well, you could, but we didn't. So next page is monthly receipts for May, up 6.5%. So that's good. Year-to-date receipts on the third page still down 5.5%, but inching closer to matching last year. Page 4, new home starts by townships and villages, and again Wadsworth City with 5. And page 5 is commercial permits issued by townships and villages. And page 6 gives details of the pretty substantial amount of commercial work for May. Value of that commercial work, $13 million. Value of the work. And other items, whatever we have to report, we still are down an electric inspector, still looking. Not getting very much, not getting any response from our ad. But our review times remain good. Residential 4 to 5 days, commercial about 21 days. And we will get this report up on the website later today.
Great.
And that's all I have.
Questions? Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day.
You too. Next, we don't have any other department updates. Public comment. Is there any other public comment, Mr. Lahoughton?
Yes, thank you.
Do you mind coming up to the podium? Sure. It's just a little bit better for the both visual and audio purposes. And if you could just give your name, we all know you, but just give your name.
My name is Dave Lahoughton, Executive Officer of the Medina County Home Builders Association and CEO of All Construction Services. Thanks for having me here today. It's very nostalgic for me because the first time I came to this chamber was 50 years ago. And Charlie Clark, John Oberholzer, and Don Simmons were the commissioners at that time. So this is, for me, this is very nostalgic. So thank you for allowing me to come today. the comments that I have to make, our membership is still obviously concerned about the developers agreement. We're continually working on that. I don't know if you received our red line version of that yet or not. Do you know? I'll make sure that you do so that you have it.
Because there were a couple versions that
Right.
went back and forth. So
Right.
I don't want to say specifically that we did get the official one from the Home Builders Association, but I know I've seen a few.
Right.
So,
Great. The sanitary regulations, unfortunately, we didn't see when they were adopted January 1st, so we're still reviewing that. We do have some questions, but I believe we've struck the portions of that based on our
Right.
last meeting, so we appreciate that. Last week, I was in D.C. For a legislative conference, and Bernie Marino, John Husted, Max Miller, and Jim Jordan are all aligned with our thinking that we have to reduce the regulatory environment that we face today. It's adding cost that is really difficult. I was on the Board of Health for 22 years, president for 6 years. And the one thing I asked at every meeting, I need to see the death certificates and the birth certificates to see where Medina County is headed. I think you know which one is going up and which one is going down. So we have to start looking at ways to make sure that we don't force our people out of this county. I have a lot of people talking about moving to Lorraine because it's much easier to go there to build. Much easier to go to Wayne County to build. Land is less expensive. The regulatory environment is less intrusive. I don't see houses falling down there in those counties. Lorraine County has been basically, I don't want to say unregulated, but the only inspection there is electrical. But we have no intention of building a house that's going to fall down because the common law in courts is the house has to be warranted for 10 years. Magnuson Moss says we have to warrant a house for 1 year in the state of Ohio for all things material and labor. But it's implied that structurally, kind of like a car warranty for 100,000 miles, which only covers the crankshaft, which we know don't break very often. But we don't have houses that are falling down or in total disrepair, going up in flames because bad electrical installations and those types of things. So we feel that we have a standard that we've all built to, and Richard, of course, is a great inspector. And he makes sure that he holds our feet to the fire, so we make sure that we build houses correctly for our customers. There's nothing to gain when we have a bad relationship with a customer, believe me. Builders know that, and they do everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. So I would like to say that, again, we keep asking why we have the subdivision regulations in place, but we need a developer's agreement on top of that. And again, I know that when you look at it, it doesn't seem like it's adding cost. We struck the toughest parts for us. And I know in the Brunswick Industrial Park, where I have built 3 buildings now, I always use a bank letter of credit, which is really much more, to be honest with you, there's no risk of loss as far as the city or the county is concerned. And the bank is there to back it up with that letter of credit. So these devices are in place. So we feel that it really is unnecessary. We do appreciate that you struck that language from both documents, it appears. So thanks for the opportunity. I would like to make sure that we continue to forward you our red line versions of the documents for your input. We want to create the best. If this is going to happen, and we understand, I've heard, and I don't know whether this is true. Well, Avon Lake has one of these. Why doesn't Medina? I don't want to compare ourselves to Avon Lake. Believe me, we are not Avon Lake. But, I think we have to take a look and make sure that we're doing the least intrusive documents that we can create, not just for us, but for our consumers. Because, again, you just heard that the price of housing is up. It goes up 2,000-3,000 every time you turn around, and we need to reverse that. Now, the one good news I heard, I only buy 2,000 gallons of diesel and gasoline per day. Your 7,000 gallons came in at $1.99. I'm telling you, if we can get cost of energy down, every family in the United States is going to get a raise. Everyone. And that money will go back into the economy immediately. We need to continue that trend. And we need to find a way to do that with housing, because housing affordability is just, It's so difficult now with concrete at $230 a yard. And I asked builders, big and small, is concrete going to go down? No, it's not going down. Is drywall going down? No, it's not going down. So we can't expect a huge price drop. All we see is what Richard just pointed out, more increases in the cost to deliver housing. As I mentioned, when I was president of the Board of Habitat for Humanity, we couldn't find lots. Unfortunately, when you deal with things like the developer's agreement, and it adds more cost to land, the market adjusts to that across the board. Every lot becomes more expensive. Even the small ones, even the infill lots, because the owners know, well, I heard that that one sold for a couple thousand more per acre, so I want to add that to my price too. I mean, I get it. It's all for their own self-interest. I understand that. But again, as far as us delivering, I think I mentioned in the one meeting that back in the 70s, we had a bumper sticker that said, "Where will our children live?" And that's a big issue. Our kids graduate. We just had a graduation of high school and college. Now, unfortunately, if those kids went to Ohio State, they're staying in Columbus. They're not coming back to Medina. We wish they would, but they aren't. And this is, again, as I mentioned, with the health department and the death certificates and birth certificates, we really have to start looking 5-10 years down the road and say, where will the population of Medina be? We hope that it continues to grow because growth is good for everybody. But the pace now is going to be very limited. I mean, some of my key employees have one child and they're one and done. It's like, you didn't even replace yourself. You and your wife, you didn't replace. So now we're down one person, and this is happening, and it's happening in Medina. So I fear for the schools. I was on was it Kelly who was superintendent back then? But my brothers and sisters went to Parma High School with 4,800 students on campus. So they built the next high school, which is Valley Forge, where I graduated from. And then they built a third high school because they thought, we've got 100,000 people. We're going to continue to grow. Well, we all know what happened. All three are gone. They're building the new Parma High School now, be much smaller. So we have to face these things and figure out a way that how are we going to keep people here? How are we going to attract them here? Low-cost housing will attract young people. There's no doubt about that. I bought my first house at 26. The average age for a person to buy a home today is 38 because they're coming out of college with huge debt. I just proposed in Washington something that sounds really crazy. 30-year mortgage came about in 1929-30 because of the Depression, because housing was completely flatlined. We had that in 2008 and 2009 a little bit, where I actually had the reduction. Luckily, Medina County's never seen a drop in real estate values. Well, we saw that in 2009, and that wasn't pretty. We don't like that. But when you think about, where we are today, we need a 50-year mortgage. I feel that, and I've talked to some bankers about this, there's not a whole lot of skin in the game for them. But if you took that 50-year mortgage, because let's face it, I'm 79. There's a lot of people that are living to 100 today. Back in 1929, the average age for the American male was 61 years, and he was dead. So now we have 80, 85, so the 50-year mortgage, if you're going to buy a house at 38, if you're only 88, you're probably still going to be alive, but more than likely be paid off long before then. So I'm sorry to go on with this, but we really feel that this is a very important time for us to make sure we not only don't add more cost to housing, but we have to find ways to reduce the cost. And again, I think I mentioned to you, 25% of the cost of every new home is regulatory. It's all in the regulations. And we have the people in Capitol Hill that are trying to do that on a much bigger level than we are. But quite frankly, they say our biggest problem is the local level. A lot of people resist. So I ask that you might take our information that we'll send you and take it to heart, and we'll see if we can achieve a compromise we can both live with. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Dave. Any other public comment? Stan? No? Discussion session. Brett, do you have anything? No? Denise, nothing? John? Holly? Colleen?
I have nothing.
Steve?
I just so the public knows that last week we talked about House Bill 335, which involved a number of changes. the CCO, we've had some meetings with the Auditors Association. We're on board with their testimony. There's the bill hearing is on Wednesday. As you all are aware, we prepared a letter and have issued it, and we'll be making that available publicly. A number of concerns, particularly involving the elimination of all the inside millage. So, and then there's a lot of moving parts, but a lot of it's going to happen within the committee this week, and of course, conference committee will be working on this. But there's a lot of parties that are, I guess, asserting themselves in concerns about some major portions of this bill. So I just at least publicly acknowledge.
Yes, yeah, we want to
We've
keep,
got that letter going out.
and both your work and the CCAO's assistance and also the Auditors Association, I mean, it's for the for the citizen, I guess, the typical citizen, that there's that may be pushing for the tax reform. There are going to be consequences to those things if they come into play, and I
Right.
think CCO and their work with the other associations is doing a good job of shining a light on that, of kind of the unintended consequences of
Yeah,
this.
I think to point out too, both associations have come up with proposals that the legislature ought to be looking in terms of property tax reform. 20 mil floor, a number of those that they've identified. The CCIO last Friday, our board endorsed Senate Bill 81, which still has to be reviewed, and I know that the Auditors Association has not reviewed that, but that essentially just freezes property taxes for seniors 65 or older and have an annual income of $70,000 or less, and just freezes that rate. So whatever that might be, even after voted levies, they would actually pay no more, and it'd be as a way they ought to be looking at to address the problem of seniors getting taxed out of their homes. And hopefully the legislature will take a lot of the suggestions that are coming forward. They're alternates rather than these more draconian efforts in House Bill 335.
Yeah, targeted solutions, I think, are the name of the game.
Agreed.
So, and then I wanted to mention, well, there was a NOACA board meeting last week. We'll probably chat about that more in the coming weeks. There were some things that came out of that warrant our attention, but I don't think anything that's ripe for discussion just yet. Also, with the comments regarding the developers agreement, there was we were all copied on an email that we got last week, actually from Dave Lahoughton, but I think it was on behalf of the Home Builders Association, related to the code of regulations and kind of what remains after the changes we made last week. And I think there was a request, although I don't know that it was really renewed in his comments today, that maybe that whole code be suspended. My inclination is, and I took the lead in responding to that email, basically just to point out that, we removed the language regarding the financial guarantee for two primary reasons. One, it was on the books, but it wasn't being enforced. And at that point, I don't think it makes sense to be on the books. And two, from the preliminary discussions we've had related to the developers agreement, it doesn't seem likely that that'll ever see the light of day. So it made
There'll be
a lot.
some financial guarantees. The question is whether, that would
Certainly
be the
not,
standard.
certainly
Not
not
the way it
in
was
the
written.
in the way that it was written in
Yes.
those documents. So that was where it made sense, I think, to remove those.
Sure.
And barring other things, what I want to be careful to do, because I do think we're going to get to a better outcome, kind of as he identified, that everybody can live with, and we're still in the process. Matt's obviously out this week, but he's working towards identifying somebody who can come in and kind of unify the codes and the regulations that we have. I think it's just something that kind of creates that clear roadmap and the clarity that's missing in a body of rules and regulations that's kind of evolved over time. So I think this is just an overdue streamlining of those things. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater either. I mean, we need to have policies that are in place in the meantime, and to the extent we are enforcing those, I think we want to keep what's on the books for now until we have a more complete, document ready through the coming months of the discussion that's going to continue. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if either of you have a different opinion on that, but I just wanted to make that clear that we're certainly not saying we remove that and now the document's done. There's going to be a further evolution of that.
And we're conscious of a balance of, we don't want to be over-regulators.
Right. And we just, it's going to take a little bit of time to get there because we don't want to overcorrect either and put it in a situation. I mean, the analogy that was used was related to structural deficiency and things like that, but we also have to make sure the public assets that are part of these developments are done the right way, and that's absolutely a, driving objective here too. So, I felt like I stepped on you. Did you have something else to say?
No.
Oh, okay. Anything else for discussion?
I will make a motion to go into executive session to consider the sale of property and imminent litigation, and to consider the discipline of a public employee.
Second the motion.
Motion, second, roll call, please.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes. Thank you. We will adjourn from there, so we will see everybody next week.